Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I just want to start off with a few things. Here's some information this week because I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and I don't want anyone to fall into some traps. So everyone's asking me, Lawson, why are the Chargers +3? Is there some sort of trap here? Yes, there is a trap because if the Ravens lose, for instance, if the Bengals beat the Ravens at 1 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, it is highly likely that the Chargers will rest starters. Because they have nothing to play for if the Ravens don't win. You understand what I'm saying about that. So that's one I wanted to get into because I did get some questions on Instagram, couldn't respond to everyone, but just wanted to make that clear. What's up, Tasha? What's up, Freshness? What's up, Zamora? What's up, Steven? Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Yeah, man, it's week 18. Week 18, you always get in a weird place. And for me, man, appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat. I will get a Coke. I will get a Coke tomorrow for sure. What's up, Joel Flores? Thank you for the donation, Freshness. Yeah, man. So I want us to start with this on Patreon. Yes, I understand it's annoying. They do boot some of you guys for no reason. And a lot of you guys, they'll try to charge your credit card and then your credit card company will deny, then Patreon boots you. So you just have to go sign on again. Like it's really, really annoying, but it is what it is. Every single first of the month on the first, like my email, I get 20 people who already were joining again because Patreon is annoying. Next year, I hope we get a better option to use. I mean, because they're just stealing money from your boy at this point. But it is what it is. What's up, Stevie Ray? What's up, Frank Nardiello? What's your favorite game this week, Lawson? Man, I'll tell you too. I'm actually getting amped for. I'm getting amped for Rams +6 at the Seahawks. I believe on Tuesday I made the Rams +6.5 a money pick. I'm not wavering on it. And for those degens who want to get a little bit of rush, I think the Rams +260 money line, I wouldn't smug my nose if you bet that and the spread at the same time. I don't think this is going to be an easy game for the Seahawks. And I don't get why people keep saying that, the Rams aren't going to be motivated. They're playing for a draft pick. No, bro, they're not playing for a draft pick. They're playing for the Detroit Lions draft pick. So it doesn't matter for the Rams. And I don't think the Rams are letting up this game. And we've made some money with the Rams since Baker's been there, and we've lost some money. Jay, I'm worried about the Rams trenches. But is there a worse team who's going to be in the playoffs in the trenches than the Seahawks? I don't know. Probably not, right? I mean, Seahawks offensive line has played good this year, although that was surprising. But their defensive line isn't anything to write home about, and their defense isn't anything to write home about. But, yeah, that really is the main juju with the Rams. Their offensive line is complete garbage, and their defensive line is without Aaron Donald. I just think 6 is an awful lot in that game, and I respect the Seahawks home field advantage. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not in love with that one. What's up, Mark? What's up, James? Yeah, man. And the second game I really like is Detroit. I mean, I saw in one book it got up to +5. Now, I've been getting this comment a lot this week. And you guys are really smart. You guys are a good audience. You guys understand football, and you understand the psychology of betting. But one thing that has really frustrated me this week, let me go into it. So I picked the Lions to win the game. Maybe that's a bit ambitious, maybe not. I do think the Lions with the spread is a money pick, and I can't say I'm changing my mind. I mean, everything that has happened this week has kind of reinforced my point. So let me lay it out. A lot of people are typing saying, Lawson, if Seattle beats the Rams, Detroit doesn't have anything to play for. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I agree with that analysis. When Detroit was 1-6, did we stop betting them because they technically had very little to play for? Did anyone think the Lions had something to play for when they were 1-6 and we kept betting them and getting the money while people were losing the money? Did they have anything to play for? And one thing I do think people underestimate about NFL teams, NFL players, is the pride. And it's a physical game. It's not like in the NBA, you can just go out and you can go out and tank and let LeBron stuff dunk after dunk over you and not touch him. In the NFL, if you lay down, you will get hurt. In the NFL, if you lay down, you will get embarrassed. Your face will be smashed into the ground and you will get hurt and you will be carted off the field if you lay down. There is no laying down in this league. There is absolutely no laying down in this league. And if there's any team we can believe in to fight with nothing to play for, it has to be the Detroit Lions. Like, it has to be the Detroit Lions. After what happened against Carolina 2 weeks ago, after them being 1-6, Dan Campbell on the damn sideline, why are we thinking Detroit's going to lay down if Seattle won? Can someone walk me through this argument? Because listen, you guys have great arguments, and I'm not saying you specifically sitting at home had this argument, but that's an argument I was getting all damn week, and I just didn't get it. I don't get it. Listen, I like saying a team that is favored by 5 points is going to win. Yeah, that's not saying much. That's like minus 220. That has like a 70% chance of happening. I'm talking spread, man. Like, I don't think the Packers, they're kind of like Tampa Bay territory. I mean, can you trust them to win by more than 3 points against anyone decent? I certainly can't. And this thing just keeps ticking up. I mean, this thing just keeps ticking up. I saw at 5 before I went on air, man. Yeah, Von, you got screwed on that Jet thing. So that's my opinion on the Lions. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as the night goes on. Just wanted to get that out there. Like, if there's any team you're worried about laying down, I think the Lions would be at the last of my list. Like, some of the playoff teams, I'm more worried about them laying down. That's why I started the show with the Chargers, and I just want to reiterate, if you bet the Chargers, you're going to be in trouble, because if the Ravens lose to the Bengals, which they probably will, even Huntley's banged up, he's questionable, Lamar's rolled out of the game. So if you do bet the Chargers +3, just keep in mind you're probably getting their second stringers. You're definitely getting their second stringers if the Ravens lose. So just be really damn careful on that. And Tasha, I think you had a question before I got on air about the Minnesota Vikings. Aren't the Vikings up to -7.5 now? Don't touch that. Like, if you put in the bet Tuesday when I made it a money pick at -2.5, -3, I think that's fine. I do think the Vikings come out and go full bore for the first 2.5 quarters. But after that, I think they're going to call off the dogs. I see them calling off the dogs. And maybe you go over in that game. And I did see that line move down a bit. I just don't think we can touch it, even though the Bears are garbage. It's at -6. Okay. It's at -6 now. I just think there's other meat to pick. And yeah, San Fran Chief, you know what? I'm going to get on live for the Jags Titans game. I'm going to get on live. I'll announce that now. I think it's worth it. I think there's some things we can play. I mean, that's one question I've had all week. I mean, do we bet the Jags -6? In a normal year, I would have put the bet in already. It's just when you get to these situations, especially this year, it's just you're more or less going to expect absolute craziness and chaos. I, I think the Jags should be on any teaser you do this weekend. I also think the Browns should be on any teaser you do this weekend. I'm just debating about the Jags -6. I've been going back and forth about it all damn week. And maybe that is the lesson we need to go live bet it. So I will be live betting Jags Titans Saturday. Happy New Year, Peter. Yeah. Like, listen, like John, I'm worried about golf outdoors. But can we just act like this is this year's Packers team? Like Devontae Adams isn't walking through the door. Bakhtiari's knee isn't going to get better magically. Rashawn Gary's not coming off the injury report anytime soon. Like, why do we keep acting like this is like 2020 Packers, 2019 Packers? Like, this is 2023 Packers, and it's not that good a team. It just isn't that good a team. It's not an explosive team. I mean, like, I'm not a big stat guy, but I even had to go under for the Packers-Lions game, and we've been pounded over all year on the Lions. So it's kind of like contrarian to go under in this game. But we have to remember one important fact. We have to remember one really important fact. The Packers have the slowest pace of game in the league. I mean, they've been in that area all year. So, like, I understand Goff. They're not going to do what they did to the Bears. I'm not thinking they do that to the Packers. But I don't see the Packers putting up a lot of points either. Like, I just don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Vaughn, like there's going to be a lot of broke pockets this weekend. I mean, that's why I'm going live betting on Saturday. Think it makes a lot of sense to live bet some of these games. I'm going to have a teaser where I'm probably going to go teaser heavy on Patreon again. People didn't like it, but it made money last week. It's pretty much made money all year for us. Anytime we put a teaser on Patreon, it's pretty much cash 90% of the time. So I don't see any reason not to do it, man. I just don't see any reason not to do it. And then there's some things I like. I think there's some things we can exploit. I feel like lines are moving in my direction. I'm trying to bet games this week that actually have implications for the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, Green Bay's played a little bit better. Yeah, man, I'm not seeing it with Green Bay. I'm just not seeing it. Would I take them like if Green Bay was +6 in the playoffs against the team? Of course. I would love taking Green Bay in that situation. But for them to lay 5 points against a decent team is pretty dangerous, man. It's pretty dangerous. And I don't know why people are acting like no one's ever went in and won in Lambeau Field before. Like, I don't know where I'm getting that. Have we missed the playoffs the last 15 fucking years? Like, have we missed any big game the last 20 years? Ever since Favre retired and after Rodgers won his first – actually, when Rodgers won his Super Bowl, Green Bay was on the road this time. So, like, I don't get why I'm getting a Lambeau Field mystique argument this week, because if you look at big games with playoff implications, whether it be playoffs on the line, division on the line, Green Bay's got a losing record at Lambeau, my friends. I mean, they got a losing record at Lambeau. They do, man. And teams have beaten them there. It started with Mike Vick beating the #1 seed, Brett Favre. Packers 20 years ago when the Packers were favored by 10 points. Packers were favored against 6 against San Fran last year, lose by a block punt. Jimmy G for like 80 yards and beat them. I mean, it's just the Lambeau Field mystique is a little bit overrated. Like, it's good on TV. It's good for video games. I think it's a historic ground. I just don't think it makes that big a difference in the outcome of the games. And yeah, of course, it's not the fucking playoffs. I know it's not the playoffs. Obviously, I know it's not the playoffs. But, you know, it kind of is. As close as you're going to get to a playoff game that isn't a playoff game. I mean, they've lost games like this before. I mean, that's the point. Like, if you can go through the years, like, they got a losing record, man. And, you know, it's not like they've been great in Lambeau Field this year. I mean, they got blown out by a Titans team that obviously isn't too good, man. So that's the opening statement. Just want to reiterate, be careful betting the Chargers, because if Ravens lose, Chargers have nothing to play for. Still liking the Rams +6. Going live betting for the Jags. Yeah, man, let's get it, man. Okay, let's get to the Patreon questions. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Okay, here we go. Patreon.com/Lawson Show. Nicholas Vincent. Hi, Lawson. Thanks for all the great picks. I was wondering, what's your favorite 2-team parlay? Thanks. Well, I have two I can give you. Let's open up the spreads and look. Let me give you a safe one. We can go Chiefs, because I do think the Chiefs win that game no matter what. We can go Jags. Let's get something maybe with a little bit more weight, because those were options. Let's get something with a little bit more weight. Bengals, but Bengals are like minus, like, what are they? Minus 400 now. That's not good. I don't think that'll be enough value for your dollar. Vikings are actually down to minus 5.5 now. That's kind of interesting. Okay, here's what I would do. I would go Jags to win and give me Chiefs to win. That would be the 2-team parlay. And if you wanted to get more weight on that, you could substitute the Rams +6. That's what I would substitute if you wanted to get more weight on it. Obviously, it's risky. Obviously, you know, the Rams could easily lose that game, but I do think the Rams cover the game. I think that's going to be an absolute sweater, man. Absolute sweater. Delwyn, Titans are well rested. Do we get a surprise tomorrow night from the Titans? I was thinking that today. Even though we've been riding Jacksonville all year, even when other people quit them, I still do have fear of Mike Vrabel teams. I don't think it's a joke. Do I think the Titans can cover? Yeah, but I don't think they can win the game. That's why I'm going to try to live bet the game. Yeah, and freshness. Chiefs is the worst game. I was going Chiefs money line. I wasn't going Chiefs to cover. Just so everyone knows, Jags to win, Chiefs to win on that 2-team parlay. Was not going Chiefs to cover any sort of spread. They couldn't even cover last week against the Broncos. Although, what was Vegas thinking? Because when I made a money pick last Tuesday, the Broncos were at plus 13.5 when I picked it. Like, come on, man. Like, how are the Chiefs going to cover that? They just hate covering, man. Here we go. Lino Frosto, smash the like button. Make sure you damn video. Make sure you subscribe to the best gambling show on the internet. Yo, Lawson, how is Brazil holding up with Pele's death? Our prayers are with Brazil and Hamlin. Just a quick question. Where would you put Sean Payton and his staff? Thanks, my guy. What's up, Lino? So in Brazil, yeah, they've been talking about Pele pretty much like every minute. He had like his wake recently. Yeah, man. There was a little bit of controversy because some like star soccer players didn't show up to his wake. Although, like, I've always been a guy who felt like those things are a bit overrated. Like, if it's your family member, then you go. But like, I always felt like these wakes for the big stars were a bit overrated. But yeah, man, people are sad about it. And this Hamlin thing is crazy, bro. It looks like he's gonna do good now. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I always felt like Hamlin would recover, man. I never felt like Hamlin was going to die once they got him to the hospital. That was my opinion. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be right now. But yeah, wasn't looking good for a few days, man. Was not looking good, man. Here we go. Here we go. And when I look at Sean Payton, I think Denver will offer him the most money. Walmart owners. They had that Nathaniel Hackett disaster, but I can't see Sean Payton going for Russell America Wilson. I just can't. I just can't see it. And when I'm looking for Sean Payton, I think it goes to the Cowboys because I think the Cowboys crash out of the playoffs. I can't tell you who the Cowboys crash out to, but I do think they crash out of the playoffs, and then I do think Jerry calls Sean Payton. Yeah, man, that's where I'm at. Del J sitting this weekend out. I don't blame you, my man. I don't blame you. And thank you for the question, Lino. Too bad your Bears couldn't get Sean Payton. Too bad. I actually think he'd want to work with Justin Fields. Like, he made Teddy Bridgewater look good. So I would be interested to see Sean Payton there. But yeah, man, not going to happen, unfortunately. Barry Radcliffe, question about the Jags game. You say over, but don't you think the Titans want to slow the game down and keep the ball away from Lawrence? I do, but I do think they need to score to win. And I do think this Titans defense has been monumentally bad. And the thing that worries me about the Titans defense most is their strength. Their strength is their defensive line and pass rush. Like, Justin Simmons just hasn't been the same since his injury around week 12, week 13. They're not getting a pass rush. And we know that secondary is vulnerable as it gets, Barry. And if you can't get a pass rush and you play a lot of man-to-man, the Jags have been very successful in those situations. I mean, and I do think the Jags can put up points against the Titans. And on the other side of the ball, I look at a Jags defense that's vulnerable. And let's get to the over-under in that game. What's the over-under in that Jags game? I think it's low 40s. Let's see what it is. Let me get to it. Fucking A, man. Page froze. Okay, let me just reload it. Let me get to it. Internet slow, man. My bad. So if I had to guess, I'm guessing 42. It's at 40. Like, dude, 40 is really low for an NFL game. And the Jags have been going consistently over this whole year. And you worry about Josh Dobbs just being unproductive and Josh Dobbs having a complete meltdown. And I would not argue with you at all. But I do think the Titans will be able to scrounge 17 points. Jags get into the 20s. It'll push over just a little bit. It's not something I'm going to bet. I did like it. Yeah, and Tony, it makes sense. It makes sense. Because even though we like the Jags and people on the internet say we're Trevor Lawrence marks, let's be honest, like, the Jags turn the ball over a lot. And that can keep the Titans in the game. And I do think you can run the ball against this Jags defense as well. So that's where I'm at, man. Yeah, that's good. I'm looking forward to the game, man. I'm looking forward to the game. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's go to Moneyline Repo on Patreon. Thank you, my guy. Lawson, is there a team you're scared about this week because starters might be pulled at halftime? Chargers. That's the main one, if their starters even play. Also, your Vikings should beat the Bears, but man, when the Vikings stink, they stink. And I found myself on the wrong end of these Vikings game lately. Talk to me about this one, brother. Yeah, well, we've been saying the whole year the Vikings are overrated. And I don't think the Vikings are an elite team. I think if they had to go to San Fran in the playoffs, if they had to go to the Eagles in the playoffs, if they had to go to the Cowboys in the playoffs, they'd get absolutely demolished. With the Vikings, I think everyone, like, for instance, I was talking to my dad yesterday, and like he was blaming Kevin O'Connell, and I wasn't with it. Like, I understand the Vikings defense with Ed Donatel has been absolutely terrible. The quarter defense, every single play is one of the worst coverages you can run, especially if it's predictable. Like, I get what my dad was saying. But I don't think that's why the Vikings are struggling. I think Darrisaw's injury, when that happened against Dallas, that really weakened the team, weakened the offensive line. And with Kirk Cousins, you need a really good offensive line. And the Vikings just never got the run game going. I mean, they got it going the first half against the Jets a little bit. Uh, uh, but that was about it. That was about it. And then the way they played against the Packers was troublesome. But also, we need to have a little bit of perspective about that Vikings Packers game. I think people are using that win by the Packers to say, oh, Packers are back, bro. Rodgers is back, bro. Ripping Detroit by 2 tutties. No. The Packers were up 17-3, and they had like 45 total yards against the worst defense in the league. Well, worst secondary in the league, probably. So we have to take that with a grain of salt. And Vikings aren't healthy at the right time, and Vikings are fading fast. It looks like the Vikings will play the Giants in the first round of the playoffs. I'm not going against them on that. I'm not. And I do think the Vikings want to win this week because maybe they can get San Fran coming to the Dome. Maybe they get that luck. Probably not after losing last week. I felt like last week's game is important. I'm not brushing it off and saying, it didn't matter. It mattered a little bit because if they go to San Fran, they're going to get fucking drilled by 30 points. So that's where I'm at on it. And I'm worried about the offensive line. I'm worried about the schematics on defense. I'm worried about Kirk Cousins. But unlike my dad, I'm not worried about coaching. That's the least of my worries with the Vikings. And I feel like the coaching staff responded well to a lot of the challenges they had this year. And I feel like people are saying, oh, Vikings have luck. Well, I get it. And my dad was even saying that. My dad was even saying that last night. Well, they've been lucky. Well, okay. Is situational football lucky at this point? Like, is red zone defense lucky at this point? Is red zone offense lucky at this point? Up until last week, the Vikings have been absolutely phenomenal in the red zone. And like it or not, that's where these games are decided. I mean, if we just looked at yard totals and between the 20-20, the Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, Detroit Lions would have a fucking ring right now. So that's what I look at for situational football, and we can't discount the Vikings' effort in that area, and we can't discount the coaching staff for that because that's coaching. Situational football is largely coaching. So I don't know if I touched on what you wanted to touch on. I mean, The Vikings have been pretty clutch for us this year. They've still been clutch on us. We're going to lose a game here and there on them. But, they won us big money against the Patriots. They won us big money against the Jets when Joe Public and the so-called Sharps were against us. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. And taking Vikings plus 3.5 against the Packers last week, I wouldn't let it affect your methodology, because if you let every single time a team didn't show up affect your methodology, then you're just fucking betting scared. You're chasing ghosts at this point. You can't control if a team shows up or not. And that's where I'm at. I'm not coping about the Vikings getting drilled last week. I'm not saying like, oh, the Vikings didn't show up. But let's be real. They didn't show up, man. Come on, man. But yeah, good question, man. Let's see what the matchup is. Let's see what the spread is. I think we're going to get good value against the Giants in the first round of the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be minus 3.5 like it was the last time they played the Giants. I think it's going to move down to minus 3, and I think that's a good position to be in. We have to remember the Vikings were up like 10, 14 points with 3 minutes left the last time they played the Giants. They ended up losing by 1 and choking the spread away, but yeah. Did they show up? Did the Vikings show up? They were slipping all over the place. They had a block punt. They get to the 1-yard line. They can't get in against one of the worst run defenses in the league. Did they show up? I mean, come on, man. They won the division like 5 weeks ago. I get it, man. I get it. I don't like watching my team completely butt blasted by a borderline average Packers team either. I didn't like it. Yeah. So let's get to the next Patreon question. Craig K says, I like the Giants. 14 is an awful lot. Even if you're looking at resting your starters. I think last time the Eagles played Giants, Eagles won by like 20 plus points. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. But yeah, I don't know why we would touch that game. I don't know why. If you wanted to bet that one of those games that type last week, you should have followed me on the Broncos plus 13.5. But I like the thinking, Craig. Derek, hey John, thank you for all your hard work and picks and awesome videos. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate you being on Patreon. Best gambling show on the internet, hands down. I appreciate it, my brother. If you had to knock off 2 games off this 7-point teaser, which would they be? Which games scare you most? KC minus 2, Cincinnati minus 2, keep Cincinnati minus 2, Minnesota plus 1.5, Buffalo plus 0, keep Buffalo plus 0 for sure. San Fran minus 7. Let's just not fucking touch the San Fran game. I'm throwing that one out. Dallas plus 0. Okay, keep it. Philly minus 7. Okay, get Philly and San Fran out of there. Like, I'm sure San Fran rolls on them, but are we getting that much value with a touchdown there? Are we? If it was like minus 6.5, you might get a different opinion from me, but we're not getting a lot of value there, especially with the way the math works in this league. I would go KC, Cincinnati. I would go with the Minnesota one, but isn't there better things we can do, Derek? Like, can I suggest maybe the Browns? I know everyone, I don't know why everyone doesn't listen to me to tease the Browns. Been fucking saying it 6-7 weeks, not yelling at you, Derek. I've been saying it 6-7 weeks. If you're doing a 6-point or 7-point teaser, why not have the Browns there? Why not have a Steelers game? Whoever is getting the points in the Steelers game, you put that up. I don't know why we're risk adverse with that. It's the least risky thing you can do. And one of the rules for betting teasers, in my opinion, I think the math even backs me up on this, but we don't need to go into that, is when the over-under is low, that's when the teasers are the best, especially if you're going to +2 to +8, +2 to +9. That's when you're in the best situation. So so I would just be careful with some of those games, because we always see berserko world things happen in the last week of the NFL season. Fade the Eagles in the playoffs. Well, I actually think that's an interesting take. And I'm the biggest Hurts fan there is, but I'm a little bit concerned with this injury as well. I do think that's interesting. I would like to hear the full reason why, but I do think it's interesting. So let me. Is Philly really going with their starters this week? Are they? And I haven't heard much talk about that Dallas game this week. That game has really went under the radar. And let me ask a question to the live chat. Yeah, Dallas is great. Dallas is great with the pick 'em to move him down, Derek. So I think you got a good list there. It's just, why not consider the Browns? Why not consider the Jags? And just try to manage those risks with Philly -7, San Fran -7. Okay. But let me ask you guys a question. And is this me being naive? This one I really want your opinion on, especially because I will post my bets tonight. Did anyone else get tempted? Even though I felt like the Jets could play spoiler here, when I saw Mike White out and Joe Flacco starting, even with Skylar Thompson starting, I got the inclination to bet Miami. Even with Skylar Thompson starting, have I gone mad? Because I do want to just tell you my rationale behind this. I think Joe Flacco's been absolutely terrible these last 2 years. I think people started seeing him in a better light. You remember like week 2, week 3 this year, Browns were up like 14 points and Joe Flacco threw like 2 touchdown passes in 2 minutes to beat the Browns. You guys remember that? And then everyone started feeling a little bit more positive. I see the Hound back Miami. Someone's saying Miami game under. I didn't see who wrote it. Tim, fade Flacco, any chance we get? Yeah, like Tim. I mean, I guess this is one thing I can't understand. I can't understand why so many people still think Flacco is decent. I never really got it. RG Skylar Thompson hasn't been that bad. I mean, he did enough to fucking kill the money pick of Pats -2.5 last week. It might have been -2 when I picked it on Monday. Either way, what a tough push to take. What a push to take on a garbage touchdown near the end of the game. But he didn't look that bad when I was watching the game. Yeah, Peter, have we been the only one fading the Jags? You guys remember earlier in the year, like when they beat the Packers, there's it's just like 1,000 Jets fans on here talking trash. And then they just like disappeared into oblivion. Growing up in upstate New York, it's always like that. Like they just fade into oblivion once like they know things get bad. Like they even started to fade into oblivion before the Jags game. I mean, there's still a few people pounding keyboards telling me the Jags wouldn't win that game. But they've just kind of like zipped into oblivion, like they don't exist anymore. They deleted their YouTube username and just moved on to something else. I mean, that's how I feel with Jets fans. Like they never stick around. Kyle, I would actually like Carr as the Jets quarterback next year. Maybe I'm like one of those single moms who thinks like, the dad's going to come back and all that good stuff. Maybe I'm like, I'm too much hopium, whatever you want to call it. But if the Jets got Derek Carr, I would be fucking fine with it. Be completely fine with it. I think Salah showed he's a pretty damn good coach this year. I mean, winning game with Zach Wilson. I mean, we were the only ones saying it earlier in the year, but we were saying it all year. He's a bottom 3 quarterback in the league, and no one was fucking listening to us. No one was listening to us the whole damn year. And then once he starts showing that he can't play quarterback, Zach Wilson sucks. Then they get on the bandwagon. You guys remember that? The dude had like 75 yards passing against a bad Packers defense during that point of the season. And people were acting like we were on drugs because we were saying Zach Wilson's trash. It got annoying, man. It really, listen, I haven't been right about everything this season, and who the hell could predict some of the stuff that's transpired this season. But my goodness, the Zach Wilson thing was the most annoying storyline of this whole year. Yeah, man. Not trying to go on a rant about Zach Wilson. He's been forgotten. Yeah, I'm curious. RG, I'm curious where Davante Adams goes. Like for me, he's been phenomenal this year. Like absolutely phenomenal. A big Davante Adams fan. He's actually better than I thought he was. And I think he has right to be a little bit, for lack of a better phrase, butthurt about how they played Carr. I think they're legit friends, man. This is from Moneyline Repo. 13 KC games decided by a touchdown or less. I love Raiders plus 17.5, not because of their talent, but because KC does not cover these big boy spreads. I agree. I don't see any problem with that rationale. Stephen Laidlaw, best damn show I look forward to every week. Money, money, money. Let's go. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it, my guy on Patreon. Okay, let's get to Peter Knox. Which 2 bets would you remove from this list? Vikings minus 3.5 locked in early this week. Good job getting that in early this week. Okay, you can cancel the bet. All right, let's see what the rest of the ones are. Titans plus 6.5. Dolphins minus 2. Keep Dolphins minus 2. Roll with that to the death. Eagles minus 14. Cowboys minus 7. Saints minus 3.5. Okay, you want me to remove 2? I would have removed the Titans and I would have removed the Saints. That Eagles one, it only scares me because the point total. And I don't trust the Eagles to go full beast mode on the Giants. But I do think the Saints will have a hard time covering that. I could be in the minority. Any game that involves the Panthers has been extremely hard to predict this year. I mean, these Panthers games just haven't followed logic at all. So I would be cautious there. But yeah, and the Titans plus 6.5, you got pretty good value there because it's at 6 now. But I really like the Cowboys the more I think of it. To just slam this third string quarterback of the Commanders. Okay, here we go. This is from Daniel. My question is, if the Seahawks lose and the Lions and Jags win, would that give the Giants a surprise Super Bowl appearance on Saquon's back? Look forward to the playoffs. You're the man. Okay. Well, it's going to be hard for the Giants to get to the Super Bowl. I don't see it, man. And it's not because of Saquon Barkley. It's just because the team is so limited. And I'm worried about the Giants' defense. Their offense, with Daboll's coaching, their offense moves the ball consistently. I mean, they're very consistent offense, which is surprising with the lack of talent. It's just I think the Giants are 1-out and once they get to the playoffs. I just don't see them making noise. If their defense was better, I would actually co-sign something crazy happening, especially with how everything's been this year. We'll see what Vegas get because I believe the Giants are going to play the Vikings the first round in the playoffs. You guys can look at it and you guys can calculate whatever the hell you want to calculate because I could be completely wrong. But what is Vegas going to make it? Like if Vegas gives Giants +4, you have to bet Giants +4 against the Vikings. Just with the way Vikings games go, with the way Giants games go, you have to go with 4. If it's at -3, it's different question. This is from Zamora, $5. Thank you for the question, Daniel, on Patreon. Thank you for the donation, Zamora. Worried about some players in my fantasy not playing full game. Any suggestions? Wide receiver Godwin, Everett, Debo. Okay. Yeah, man, Zamora. I like for me, man, I don't think Everett for the Chargers is going to play too much. Because I think the Bengals beat the Ravens, and I think the Chargers are going to play second stringers. I haven't seen any news about Deebo Samuel. I would feel more confident that Deebo Samuel will play, though. I do think they want to get him some work before the playoffs. And Deebo Samuel's such a damn good player. He could come in, if he plays a quarter, he can get you 10 to 12 fantasy points. Chargers defense is good. You got to lock down with that, man. Because at the end of the day, the Broncos, I don't know if they could put up 25 points against Alabama's defense. I'm not one of these guys who says Alabama would beat the Houston Texans. No, I'm not one of those guys. But this Denver offense is bad. I don't think they scored over 17 the whole year. Could be wrong. So I would go Chargers defense. Chargers kicker, he's going to play, man. And with second stringers, it's good to have a kicker in there. This is from Dime Betting. Debo's going to play, but likely will get limited reps, especially since Giants are resting starters against Eagles and will likely keep 1 seed. Makes sense. Makes sense. But you might have to roll that dice. We don't know your other options, but you might have to roll that dice. You might not have a damn choice. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's get to this is from Shaw Moore. Hey, Lawson, do you think the Bills are dialed in this week, or could the Pats sneak into the playoffs by upsetting an emotional team who has not played in a couple weeks? Vegas loves the Bills. I think I'm liking the other Bill Belichick this week. Your thoughts? Sean, I like to pay it Pats to cover. I really like the Pats to cover. If you're talking upset, it might be a bit of a bone to bite off because we know how bad the Pats offense is. I'm just going to play armchair psychologist here because betting the NFL like we do, we kind of have to. You got to think the Bills have had a rocky week of preparation. I mean, they didn't have their normal practice schedule. We know that for a fact. You got a Patriots team where we know that the Patriots defense is a bit overrated, but they're still damn good. We saw them almost grind out a win against the Bengals. We saw them grind out a win last week against the Dolphins, and I think they grind out and cover this spread against the Bills. People are in the chat. I think Avon saying, "Listen, like, yo, bro, like they're not going to let the Bills lose this game." He's probably right, but then again, could the Pats even do it if they needed to? But if you're talking Pats +7, your boys listen. I don't think it's bad at all. And it hits a key number, 7, could easily get a push out of it. I mean, we all talk about the Chiefs and make jokes about their like 5-10, 5-11 spread record. Bills haven't been all that great this year. Remember when they beat the Rams week 1, everyone's saying, oh, this is going to be like the 92 Niners covering every damn game, 14-2 against the spread. All that jive didn't happen. Bills have been bad against the spread this year, man. Yeah, you can't risk the Patriots money line. Please, no one go out and do that. But, I mean, Pats +7, I don't think it's that bad, man. Okay, here we go. Nick Tallarico, Mr. Lawson, any good prop bets? Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Terrible Raiders defense. I was waiting to say this all day. It's at plus money. I think I saw Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns today. It was plus 125. Of course, these things work down fast and furious. But listen, let's look at what's going to go on. I think the Raiders will be able to put up points. I think it's a combination of Jared Stidham being decent and Josh McDaniels wanting to rub Carr's face in mud and shit on Carr. Which, like, out of all the people that shit on, why shit on David Carr? But Derek Carr, why shit on him? But anyways, McDaniels, that's McDaniels, man. He probably should lose his job, but of course they're sacrificing Carr. And I look at this Raiders secondary. I don't know if there's a worse secondary in the league. I mean, because the Raiders got a pretty damn good pass rush, but even with them getting a good pass rush, their secondary can't cover anyone. A lot of zone defense. The linebackers can't cover worth shit. Secondary sucks. I think Mahomes wants to get warm and ready before the playoffs. Give me Mahomes over 2.5 pass touchdowns. There's some other players playing for incentives. I'm blanking on it right now. But if I do remember, I'll post it on Patreon because incentives are really important for player props. If someone's playing for $100K, they're going to get the ball to them. And we've seen NFL teams do that before. So there might be someone who has like an autistic brain who can enlighten us. Here we go. I'm going to get freshness on real quick if you can still come on. Okay. Let me get to going to finish the Patreon questions. Okay, this is from Gabriel Hammer. What's up, Gabe? What happened to this dude who went on the rant taking the Bucs over San Fran? Guy was fired up and the Bucs got smoked. Yeah, I do wonder what happened to him. That guy was just cringe as fuck, man. He had so many bad takes on Patreon. Like, I think he drove people off Patreon with the bad takes. And this year, I just haven't had the energy to respond to people like that on Patreon. I'm glad he left, though. Melissa G14. What's up, Melissa? What would you say are the top matches to stay away this week? Week 18 is so in flux. I'm thinking pick your battles carefully. You're right, and I want to save my bankroll for the playoffs. Obviously, one game I want to avoid with the spread is Chiefs-Raiders. Another game I'm a little bit worried about is this Giants-Eagles. If we're talking spread, I want to stay away from the Cards 49ers. I really want people to stay away from the Chargers Broncos. We saw the spread moving around like crazy. I just want to remember if the Ravens lose, Chargers will sit starters. I've been saying that all day, but I want to reiterate it. I think the Ravens do lose against the Bengals, but I think there's some good games to attack. I mean, you can have a different opinion than me, but I'll tell you some decent games to attack. I think Detroit Green Bay is a game to attack. I think Cowboys Commanders is a game to attack. You know what? It's fucking funny, man. We started talking about the Cowboys -7, and we started talking about it and whatnot, liking it. And then once I reload the page, it's Cowboys -7.5. It's funny how that works, right? Let's get to Rams Hawks. I mean, Rams +6.5. I think that's a game to attack. If you want to fade me, I think the Seahawks would be a good bet. If you think the Seahawks can play good, I want to stay away from the Vikings Bears game. I think that -8 is way too much. If you got it early in the week, I like it. That's where I'm at on it. I'm liking this Patriots +7.5 now. I find that interesting. And the Texans Colts, I love the Texans. I saw someone come in the chat and say, I want to pick the Texans to cover. I don't think that's a bad one to bet. Rustin, what's up, my man? Sorry to keep you waiting.
What's going on, man?
Dude, I like the jacket, man. That cigar looks good.
Hey, the Patriots should be in the playoffs, but you saw how they lost the last 2 games, so.
Yeah, man. I like for me, man, it's crazy with how bad the offense was. For them to be on the verge of the playoffs was kind of wild. Hoodie Bill Belichick doing it again. I just wonder if like the hoodie is going to look at himself this offseason and say, like, listen, like, Matt Patricia shouldn't be an offensive coordinator. And like, listen, just one last thing. I'll let you talk, but I get really frustrated at the Matt Jones hate because I actually don't think he's bad at all. I just think that offensive system and the offensive play calling is fucking trash. I'll let you talk.
So I'm going to give hey, folks, let's make some money. Listen, I got a parlay for everyone. Packers money line, Jaguars money line. Let's parlay this. Let's get the bankroll for the playoffs.
I don't think it's bad, man.
No.
I would
listen.
not take Packers with the spread, though. I would stay away from that.
The league is going to have the Packers in the playoffs.
At this point, we have to look at that with some of the weird stuff.
I'm making money this weekend. I'm taking the Packers and I'm taking the Jaguars. If you guys don't want free money, that's up to you. I just gave you free.
Yeah, man. What do you think about the Pats +7.5?
The Pats?
Yeah.
To be honest, I like the over more, 42.5.
It's not bad. I mean, because Bills games, that's low for a Bills game.
It is. I think the Bills score in the high 20s. I think the Patriots keep it close. And I'm not saying the Patriots can't win this, but it's going to be tough. I also like the Raiders +9.5. I think the Raiders are going to show up for pride. I think Kansas City will probably win this game, but I don't see a blowout.
No, dude. And I think my thesis about McDaniels is right. Like, he just wants to throw Carr under the bus, so he's going to get stuff in for Stidham. We know the Chiefs, they never cover. They just don't cover, man. And it's almost like they want to not cover.
And I'm kind of interested to see who's going to be number 1 in the AFC because the way they're trying to set it up, man, it's weird. I mean, they are giving it to Kansas City.
But Kansas City's going to have to play at a neutral field if they get to the championship game, which they kind of diminished the 1 seed. And then the Bengals get screwed here. And I'm just wondering, okay, like Zach Taylor did the gentleman thing to not finish that game. I felt like the Bengals would win that game before the game. And looking at early in that game, I felt like the Bengals would have won, going on to win it, and I felt like the Bengals are the one who get the proverbial dick in the ass here.
Yeah, that's a weird scenario because if the Bengals are getting robbed, that's a lot of money taken away from Cincinnati.
Dude, it's not fair, man. And like, listen, the Bengals, they might not even get a home playoff game. Like, if they lose to the Ravens, they're not getting a home playoff game at all.
Yeah.
And that's like the poorest organization in the league, too, outside of the Raiders.
Now
Those are poorest.
Let me ask you this, man. Cowboys are in for a rude awakening if they got to go play Tampa Bay, man. That's not a good matchup for Dallas. And what's the line, in your opinion, if that's the game next week?
I think they're going to go like Tampa Bay +6. That was one I was thinking about on Sunday. Some people think it's going to be Tampa +3. I think it's going to be more, and I'm going to take Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. That sounds.
Oh, yeah. I will. If Tampa Bay's the underdog, give me that line. That's vacation money.
Dude, I think Tampa Bay, I don't like, listen, I think Tampa Bay is going to do something. I know we've been waiting for them to do something the whole year. I just think they'll find something. And the Cowboys choke is always in play, man. Teams choke.
Imagine the day after Dallas loses to Tampa Bay and all that hype we had to listen to for Dallas this year, to go into Tampa Bay, who's a 500 team, a 88-year-old Tom Brady winning.
Yeah. Like on the chat, they're saying Tampa Bay +3.5. It's tough, man. Like, that's a tough game for the Cowboys, and that's bad luck on them because that's really what the matchup's going to be. I haven't seen any other alternative.
All right, Lawson, I'm going to put you on recorded line. I want you to back up what you say. If Tampa Bay beats Dallas, me and you are going to be on a call like this, smoking a cigar.
Oh, dude, that'll be good. I'll get a cigar. We got access to Cuban cigars here. You can buy.
I know you. I know you. You got access to everything down there, brother. Don't have me start talking, man.
Yeah, man. It's a lot. Yeah, like I never understood the Cuban embargo. Like why shit on Cuba? Like, they really never did anything to anyone, and like shit on them about like Russia like 50 years ago is bullshit. Yeah. But it's
and yet we're in bed with like the Saudis, who are like the most brutal regimes. Let's not get into politics, man.
No, but it's true. I've actually went to Cuba. I've been to Cuba before. It's a damn good place. Maybe the highest quality people in this world, which is ironic considering like they demonize them like crazy. Yeah, man. I don't like what they did there. Like, it's hard to even get like a cow there, and you know how they drive around in those like 1950s United States cars.
That's sad. We're smoking a cigar if Brady beats Dallas. Is that a yes?
Yeah, dude. Of course, man. I'll get one.
All right, folks. I gave you guys free fucking money. Green Bay and Jackson.
So just to reiterate, you're going Jags and you're going
Green Bay. Money line parlay.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see, man.
All right, Lawson. We'll stay in touch.
No, I believe it. All right, I'll see you, man.
Take care, man.
Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, man. Here we go. Let's go to let's see if we got any more Patreon questions. Always good to hear from Freshness, man. Always good. Yeah, it looks like we got to the Patreon questions. So yeah, man. It's crazy. Yeah, because I don't want to get like my YouTube page bombed. But yeah, like that embargo is absolutely crazy. Yeah, that Bucs game's going to be crazy. Like that's going to be absolutely crazy. So just to reiterate to the people joining late, prop I like is Mahomes over 2.5 touchdown passes. Remember, be careful about that Chargers -3. If Ravens lose, Chargers will sit starters. Pretty damn sure about it. Like Ravens +6. That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. If I got any more questions, I'll go on. If not, I'll be on Patreon tonight posting the bets. I'll do more research about starters, who's sitting, who's playing. Why am I taking the Texans again? Because you're degenerate. No, I'm joking. I think the Texans win, man. I think the Texans win. And the Texans have been playing pretty decent ball the last 6 weeks. I mean, they had that week 5. Remember they played good in the Philly game? Then after that, they just got completely shellacked game after game. And then they started slowly playing better again using the 2-quarterback system with Driscoll and Davis Mills. And then they just kept playing a little bit better every week. They got Jonathan Greenyard back at defensive end, and they were just playing a little bit better. And I don't know if there's a team in this league playing worse football than the Colts. Is there? Is there? I don't think so. I don't think there's a team playing worse football than the Colts in this league. For that, I didn't watch much. I'll be honest, man. I didn't watch that Colts-Giants game. But to see that result and to see Nick Foles carted off the field, it just kind of sums up the Colts year. I mean, they're so damn bad. And they're so poorly coached as well. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man. And King James, that is one thing I don't think people are talking enough about. I don't think Rodgers' health is as good as people think. He's had that hand injury all year, thumb, they say. And then the ribs can really affect you. Just think about throwing the football, and if you got damaged ribs, how that can get you, man. All right, I'm gonna go look at some injury reports. Bets will be up on Patreon tonight. Let's aim for like 8:00 Eastern time. Slam the like button, share the videos, the best gambling show on the internet. Appreciate all of you guys. Have a great weekend. Just last thing, Tariq says Broncos can win regardless. I'm actually with you on that. I'm with you on that. I think you have sense there. Especially with the situation the Chargers are at. I just want to say one thing before I go. Please, for the love of God, for the love of Jesus, do not go hard this week betting. Do not go crazy and do anything wild, because you could completely get shellacked, not because you made a bad bet, but if a coach pulls the starters, or if a team's not motivated looking to next week when their whole season's decided in one game, then you could be in a trench fire, man. So be careful with it. Don't do anything crazy this week. And like I was saying on Instagram all week, I feel a huge playoffs coming. I feel an absolute shellacking of Vegas coming in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. Hit the like button, share the videos. Appreciate you guys. Everyone have a great night. Nice seeing you guys.